So BMI is nothing more than a ratio between how much you weigh on the scale and how tall you are. But during a weight loss program, will your height change? Of course not. You remain the same height. So BMI really is a different way to express how much you weigh on the scale. What do you know about how much you weigh on the scale? It tells you nothing except how much you weigh. It tells you nothing. The assumption that a ratio between how tall you are and how much you weigh gives you any indicator of how much of you is fat and how much of you is muscle is simply nonsense. I proved this in my study of almost 4,000 people. Of 3,946 people, there were only 19 that did not precisely fit my mathematical model. Now, if you know anything about science, that is really strong. That is, I mean, the statistical significance is so huge, it can't be argued. BMI is useless. It's worthless. And nobody should ever use it. A kilo of muscle, a kilo of fat. Besides the color difference, these are medical teaching models, okay? Besides the color difference, what's the obvious difference? Size. Muscle is far more dense and heavy per centimeter than fat. Fat's fluffy, takes up lots of space. Muscle is dense and firm and heavy. And in fact, about 20% heavier per centimeter than fat. When I was in practice, I had the privilege of treating athletes who were part of the Detroit Lions football team. These were very big men. I mean, big men. You know, I had to look up at them when I was treating them, right? And these were guys that were basically muscles on legs. I mean, these were just muscular guys. Well, of course, they were all obese according to BMI. But none of them were obese. I mean, they didn't have any, you couldn't find body fat on these guys. But because of how much they weighed, well, they had to be obese. And they were all being penalized. And their life insurance premiums and their health insurance premiums because they were high-risk obese people, and in fact, they weren't at all. That's what really got me started on this whole body composition thing. So your best way to measure your progress is not how much you weigh, but how many centimeters you're changing each week. That's why it's important to measure yourself. Get a tape measure. Measure yourself. And I suggest that you get a buddy. I don't know if you use that. Do you use the term buddy here? Or friend, okay? So you get a buddy to help you with the program, okay? So if, as an example, let's say that you and I are going to do the system together, we're going to measure each other, okay? And we're both going to make sure that we measure the same places every time. That's important. And that we apply the same amount of tension to the tape measure each time. That's important. And then we support each other. Because as he's measuring me, he says, wow, look at the change. You're 2 centimeters down from last week. All right. And I check him out. You're 3 centimeters down from last week. All right. And we're helping each other. We're psychologically supporting each other. So do this with a friend. Okay? And I selected him because it's a little bit difficult for men to do it with women or women to do it with men, of course, unless you're married or something, okay? You gotta watch where you're measuring with these things. All right. So, yeah, because, I mean, let's face it, what do you need to measure? You start with the neck, you do the shoulders, you do the chest, you do the waist, you do the hips, you do the thighs, calves, ankles, upper arm, forearm, wrist. That's what you should do, left and right side of the body, every single week. Once a week, not once a day, once a week. Do them all. And I also strongly suggest that you keep a food diary. Now, Sinead has very smartly done that because people very often, they're busy, right? You're busy in the day. Things are moving fast. You don't even pay attention to what you've done, what you just shoved in your mouth. You didn't think about it. But when you do a daily food diary, you write down everything you eat and drink, and it's like, Oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. Now, as far as food choices, you want to eat low glycemic. That means you want to eat foods that don't raise your blood sugar. Low glycemic foods. There are 2 hot links, which are free, that Manatech provides. You click on those, and you have a choice of almost 3,000 foods. Now, folks, if you can't make your menus with 3,000 foods, then you need a lot more Ambertos for brain function. So there's plenty of stuff to choose from. I also created pocket cards, which, Sinead, are the pocket cards here that I made? No? Maybe I shouldn't talk about it. Well, they're available through the U.S. I don't know if they'll come down here or not. But I created little cards that you can carry in your pocket or your purse that's got several hundred things on it. Kind of help you through restaurants and stuff, you know. But still, you got the downloads. All right then, here's a better way to look at it. These are 2 men from my study, by the way. So both of these men are the same age, they're the same race, they are the same weight, and they're the same height. That means that according to BMI, both of these men are obese. But only one of the men is obese. This is why BMI is useless. It's ridiculous. What we care about is how your body composition changes, not how much you weigh. Body composition then will mean your percent of muscle mass, your percent of fat mass, and your bone density. That is your body composition. In most countries in the world, there is something called a DEXA scan. So capital letters D, E, X, A, DEXA. The DEXA scan, medical doctors are taught that DEXA scan does one thing, it checks your bones. But what they don't know is the DEXA scan automatically, when the scan scans your body, it automatically reads your percent muscle mass and percent fat mass. But doctors don't know that, so they never write it. They never write for a fat mass and a muscle mass scan because they don't even know it can happen. So if a doctor doesn't ask for it, they don't get it. They get a report on your bone mass. So this is common for, especially for females who are typically over 50 and getting their bone scans done. Usually the cost is somewhere around $100 US, give or take, however that converts to Sing dollars. And you have it once. It establishes your baseline. From on the first day, again, it doesn't matter how much you weigh. On your first day, you're going to know what percentage of you is fat, what percentage of you is muscle, and how dense your bones are. You'll know that on the first day. The scan takes 11 minutes. It's painless. You do nothing, and it doesn't harm you in any way, shape, or form. In fact, the amount of radiation from a DEXA scan is lower radiation than you're exposed to sitting in this room right now. So even though it is a kind of X-ray scan, the radiation level is ridiculously low, all right? So I suggest everybody gets a DEXA on day 1, and about every 6 months, get another DEXA. That tells you precisely where you are. In the interim, what you do is you take photographs before, after, and during, and you and your friend measure each other with a tape measure, okay? Now, of course, it is irresistible to say things like, I've lost 50 kilos. It's irresistible to say that. But here's what's going to happen. When you improve your body composition versus weight loss, improving body composition means fat is going away and muscle is coming on. Since muscle is heavier per centimeter, at some point you will stop losing kilos. And then, as your body composition gets even healthier, you're going to start gaining kilos. Your scale weight will go up, but your body is looking better and you are healthier. Muscle is metabolically active. About 96% of your total metabolic push to convert stored body fat into energy is because of your muscles. The more muscle you have, the easier it is to maintain your body composition. Also, and I know that this part's really tough for everybody, as your muscle mass goes up, you're forced to eat more food. Is that awful? Okay, most people are happy about that. Okay. So then, you don't care how much you weigh, you care how your body changes, how your body composition changes, okay? And at some point, all of you will plateau. In fact, plateaus will be frequent. That's normal. It hasn't stopped working. It's not, the whole thing hasn't just stopped for you. It's normal to plateau periodically, and the body will kick in again, and you'll keep going. You keep doing the right thing every day. What you eat, physical activity, your True Plenish shakes, you keep doing what you're supposed to do, and then you'll break the plateau and you'll go again. The first time I went through a body composition change, it was over a period of 16 months, and I plateaued 11 times. It's normal. It happens. So you haven't failed. It's a good thing. And at some point, it starts to go up. Now, as I was gaining muscle mass, at first I lost kilos, but then I started gaining muscle mass and I started gaining weight. Okay? So right now, I'm not sure what it is in kilos, I'm about 240 pounds. Okay, do I look 240 pounds? No, I don't. Because muscle mass is so much heavier than fat mass per centimeter. You put on the muscle mass, you get heavier, and you get slimmer, and you get healthier. Okay? All right, let's get into products. The truth about your health in the 21st century is something that almost nobody knows, and doctors are not taught this stuff in medical school. I had a really interesting conversation with a new doctor who's recently joined Manatech, a medical doctor. In fact, he was one of our new silvers, but he's not in the room right now. I had a really good conversation with him where he said, you know what, I've been doing allopathic medicine for 40 years. Now it's time to actually help people get healthy. Okay? Because what he's been doing is just symptom control. We want to do real health. We want to change your body in the healthiest possible way. Not that symptom control is a bad thing. In some cases, the pharmaceuticals are essential. You have to do them, okay? But we want to avoid it wherever we can. I was in practice for about 20 years, and at my integrative medical center, we had medical doctors and chiropractors and massage therapists. I had a really big staff. We had a really big, beautiful clinic, and it was great. And I do miss it. I have to say I do miss it. But what we saw there was that we were seeing people with virtually every kind of health problem you could possibly think of, and they were coming to me literally from every continent on the planet. This was pre-internet days, and I had a newsletter that was given to doctors in 17 countries. So these doctors would read what I was doing, and they would send their patients to me from these various countries around the world. And since I only speak English and Texan, then they always had to bring a translator if they were coming from some countries. Okay. Well, let me give you a couple of Texan things. When I first moved to Texas, because I'm from Michigan, and in Michigan, they speak, according to the Harvard language people, they say that people in Michigan speak what's called American Standard English, right? So supposedly without an accent. Then I go to Texas, and everybody is speaking so strangely that I'm trying to figure out what they're saying half the time. So little cute things like, you've heard Texans will say, y'all, right? Hi, y'all, right? Well, y'all actually means one person. Now I thought y'all means all of you. That's what I thought. And they said, oh, no. Y'all is just one of y'all. Okay? Well, then how do you have more than one person?